Welcome to TMZ Live. Harvey Levin here.
Charles here.
So we have been telling you about Wendy Williams. We dropped a documentary, which is on Tubi, which essentially shows Wendy confined to a room and has been for months and months and months.
At the assisted living facility.
She had freedom this weekend. She went from New York to Miami. That's her at Miami International Airport after she arrived to celebrate her dad's 94th birthday.
And it was very interesting to see her out in public like this for the first time in a long time, and to see and hear the reaction of people, of fans seeing her in the airport. It was, and Wendy reacting to some of it. She didn't say much, but she was definitely hearing what people were saying to her.
And you know, they're walking away saying, oh my God, it's the old Wendy Williams. She's in that scooter, by the way, because she has lymphedema, which makes it difficult for her to walk. You know how she got it.
Long distance.
You know, she got it.
Got the lymphedema?
High heels. She got it from high heels. And, warning, she is, she's not really confined to it. She can, in fact,
she could walk short distances, but
in the documentary, she stood for over an hour by the window.
The walking through Miami Airport.
So she celebrated her dad's birthday, but she also spent time with her son, Kevin. Which
we were anticipating. In fact, you had spoken to her about this, that when she got to Miami, would she see Kevin Jr.? And she did. Had a very nice lunch with him. She said that, I think Wendy wanted to make it clear, she loves her son. But obviously the contentious part of their relationship is that allegedly the things he did is part of why she ended up in this guardianship to begin with. She talked about this at some length in the documentary.
My son, you know, he overstepped his boundaries in terms of me. You understand? He overstepped his boundaries, and he was inappropriately using my money without telling me crap about it. You know, like, is he stealing from me? That's when my money got frozen at Wells Fargo, thank God. No more money stealing from my son and the other people. He has a way of getting with, you know, a couple of other people. You know what I'm saying? My son is not the only one, you know what I'm saying, involved with my money.
So Kevin denies misappropriating. The judge said he had made a lot of mistakes when it came to, or apologized for things he had done with her money, and that the judge did not trust him to handle it in the future.
Right. But obviously, they were at least on good enough terms to enjoy lunch together, and I imagine he's going to be at the birthday party as well.
Well, the birthday party was yesterday.
That he was at the party, right.
The birthday party was yesterday.
That lunch was separate. That was not the birthday
Right, and she's on her way back today from Miami to New York, where she is going to go back to this assisted living facility, to the memory unit, and we told you that she's already signed an affidavit asking that the guardianship end. It hasn't been filed with the court yet. We expect it will be soon.
It's an important moment for her, right? That she got out. She comported herself very well, seemed to have a nice time, seemed to be as lucid as we've ever seen her. Really important, right? I mean, there was always a little bit of a risk something might go wrong that might reinforce some of the beliefs that the facility had about her and that the guardians had about her. So it's really a great thing to see her doing so well.
You know, Jason, the one thing I was thinking about, and I'm not suggesting it, but if she just stayed in Miami, I don't think the New York court system would have any jurisdiction over her, because you can only extradite somebody if it's a felony, and this isn't even a criminal matter, it's a civil matter. So she wants to live in New York. She said that. And I have no idea whether that even entered her mind, but it just occurred to me when I watched her, when I watched the video there.
Imagine if she was on the lam from the memory facility. That would be some sort of turn of events.
Speaking of the memory facility, we have new reporting.
Yes, some answers as to why Wendy is being confined on the floor of this memory care unit at the assisted living facility. It just never made sense, even when you were talking to her, and she doesn't, in the documentary, didn't seem to understand why she was there. We have some answers now, and it has to do with alcohol and Wendy's incident when she first moved into this place. There's a bar on one of the floors, on the top floor.
It's a bar restaurant.
Right.
And this is just a few days after she checked in there. She was they had put her on the 3rd floor, we're told,
Where you can come and go.
where you can come and go. And again, we got this from somebody who works there, who has firsthand knowledge of a lot of this stuff. And actually, we have a second source as well on this thing.
Yeah.
She went up to the restaurant, and we are told she got drunk. And when that happened, the supervisors
managers were
furious that the bartender allowed her to drink, because we've told you
This was at a time when Wendy had issues with alcohol.
Right.
And clearly the staff at the assisted living, or at least the managers, knew this at the assisted living facility. They were furious that she had been served.
So they decided at that point, we're told, to put her in the 5th floor memory unit, because that unit you can't get in the elevator without somebody turning the key who works on the floor. And they needed to keep tabs on her. The problem was the memory unit was full, and they kept her on the 3rd floor until it opened up. But when they kept her on the 3rd floor after that incident, they had a guard standing by her room.
Right.
And telling her that the restaurant's under construction, you can't go up there. So the solution was putting her in the memory unit, even though her memory, according to one employee in particular, and by the way, I spoke with her a bunch of times.
This is what you had been saying.
But the employee is saying Wendy does not have good days or bad days.
As the Guardian had said, that was their response.
That's right. And that she's the same all the time. And you can tell her something today, and 2 weeks later, she'll remember it. So she's in the memory unit. And, you know, it is
But not because of the frontotemporal dementia.
Right, because if it were from the dementia, they would have put her there from the jump.
Right.
And they didn't.
Hi, I'm Marcelia from Sacramento, California. I think in light of this new information, it's good to see Wendy Williams out and about enjoying time with her family, and maybe they'll look into this and give her a chance. Maybe she was scared and that's why she turned to the alcohol. But I, for one, am somebody rooting for Wendy Williams to get back on her feet, and it's good to see her back out with her family and friends.
Yeah, but short-lived. It was a 48. It was a 48-hour pass.
You look at it and you go like, "Oh, that's so nice for her," but then you also remember that's going to be over in 48 hours.
And in a way, it's even more difficult because it reminds her what life can be like, and then she goes back into this facility.
Yeah.
So it's tough.
We'll see how long it takes.
Okay, we are going to move on.
Yes, if you want any evidence, if you needed any more evidence that the SNL 50th celebration was a massive thing in show business.
It was crazy.
Here is all the evidence you need. 2 people who have been intentionally avoiding big media events and reporters showed up there. And those 2 people would be Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, who walked in, went down the arrival line, stood for photos. They didn't answer questions there, not that we expected them to. Nobody really got questions there.
But, you know, obviously, they know the drill on this thing, and they are smiling the way Justin Baldoni is smiling in Hawaii.
Right.
Not a care in the world in the surface.
We are unbothered. There are no issues here. We're not concerned about these lawsuits, and we're happy to go to trial, and everyone's... I got to tell you, they even, not only did they walk down the arrival line and smile for cameras, but they played off of the whole controversy and the legal battle.
Well, he did.
In the special.
Well, she did too, I guess.
She had a role in it too.
You're
This
right.
was the moment during the special where it came up.
I have a question.
Oh, hey, Ryan Reynolds.
Hi.
Hey. Ryan Reynolds, how's it going?
Great. Why? What have you heard?
Well, that was it.
Yeah, that was it. It was little, subtle, but it was there, and certainly the look on Blake's face. And by the way, this was obviously clearly a scripted thing. They all knew what was going to happen. She's smiling like, ah, and then looks shocked at him saying that. She knew what was going to happen. It's scripted.
This was
Welcome to
ripping
Hollywood,
off
folks.
the Band-Aid for them. This was like, we know we have to address this because they are very public people. They go to a lot of events. So this is just, we're going to acknowledge this, we're going to make a joke about it, and we're going to move on.
Vanessa from Frankfurt, Germany, and in my opinion, the joke was so highly unfunny, especially if Blake, his wife, was actually sexually harassed on set. And I know you guys said the face drop was scripted and stuff, but I do think that laughing about it and making jokes is still kind of off-putting and weird.
It is the fact that they were willing to make a joke about it. You could read that as this isn't that serious to them. That's how some people will read it. As
You could read it a million different ways.
but it's also just them saying we got to get on with our lives.
God, there's Steven Spielberg. I loved the show.
Cher's
there. I just loved the show. I thought it was amazing to see all these people.
Yeah.
That, it was breathtaking to me, and much more so than the Oscars.
And not
Because they all have a connection. They all have a connection.
They all have a connection. It didn't seem like an ego-driven thing, right? Because not everybody had huge roles, and a lot of people didn't have any role other than sitting in the audience, and everybody was happy to be there.
I thought it was great. I thought it was really good. Okay, taking a break.
All right, when we come back, ASAP Rocky's case about to go to the jury, and they will decide his fate. The man who has been fighting for him in court, Joe Tacopina, is going to be here when we come back. We're going to talk to him about some very explosive moments in this case and why
he lost the jacket,
why he took off that jacket, and why Rihanna being in court with their kids became such a huge issue on Friday. Welcome back to TMZ Live. ASAP Rocky, the jury in his trial about to begin deliberations. They are not in court today, but wow, did it end
explosively?
Very explosively. The last day closing arguments, we saw a blow up between Rocky's lawyer Joe Tacopina and the prosecutors. We saw the prosecutors make a big deal about the fact that Rihanna was in court
with her kids,
with the kids. Complaining to the jury about the fact that Rihanna was there with the kids. But that blow up between Joe Tacopina and the prosecutor was...
It was epic.
I have not seen anything like that. So,
But the big thing right now is who won this case? Because it's now up to the jury to decide. And high stakes, because if Rocky's convicted, this could be several decades in prison.
Yeah, up to 24 years would be the max he could get. And remember, there was a deal that was on the table, and he turned it down. So, like you say, high stakes. And joining us right now to talk about those stakes and what went on during closing arguments is Joe Tacopina, ASAP Rocky's attorney. Joe, welcome back to TMZ Live. How you doing?
Hey, Hardy. Hey, Charles. How you guys doing?
We're good. How are you feeling right now? You've presented your case, done your closing. You've heard what prosecutors had. You rejected a plea deal. How you feeling?
I feel great. I mean, look, this case went in perfectly for us. I mean, I believed in Rocky's innocence from day one. Rocky's maintained it by virtue of the fact that he's turned down a plea that would have been, I don't know, they offered him like 6 months. And he's facing obviously a lot more than that. I think shows you his resolve and his belief in his innocence and belief in the jury system. So, this case, it should be a 5-minute acquittal. But again, I've tried 120 jury trials, both as a prosecutor and defense attorney, and I will tell you, you could never, despite what all pundits may think and people in the courtroom, you just never know what a jury's thinking. So you can't take anything for granted, which is why I spoke to that jury for 5 hours in my summation. I just couldn't leave a stone unturned.
There was something in particular you said that did not sit well with the prosecutor, and we saw the big argument over this. You're referring to ASAP Rocky as having perjured himself, and that the prosecution accepted that. Joe, I've never seen an attorney take off his coat in court because it seemed like he was about to get into a fight.
No, I took off my coat, Charles, because it was very hot in court. I didn't know this was going to happen. I was just listening to, this repeated, I'll call it whining, if you will, by the prosecutor, which seemed to happen every day. So I took my coat off because it was getting hot, not because I was getting ready to have fisticuffs. They objected to the fact that we said they embraced perjury. It's different than saying you suborn perjury. Suborning perjury is when you put a witness forth that you know is committing perjury. You're suborning perjury. I didn't say they suborned perjury. I said they embraced it. And there's no way around that because their witness testified that the tape recordings I've had of him committing extortion were fake. So I had to call another witness in to then say, yes, those are real recordings. That's this Relly guy, and this is me, and I made the recording, and so they're not fake. So the prosecution then, took those recordings and played them and accepted that they were Relly. So I said they had to embrace, but that was perjury on behalf of ASAP Relly. There's no question about that. And he admitted perjury 5 or 6 or 7 other times on the witness stand. So there was no question that was perjury. So I said, well, by adopting him, by accepting him, by moving forward with their arguments, they embraced perjury. Oh my God, you would think I said something so horrific, but that's a fact. That's just a fact. It's not anything. And this one prosecutor in particular has a sort of a history and a reputation, and he had another hissy fit. I said to the jury at the end of the day, I said, if there's a moment of a matter of importance in your own life or the life of a loved one, would you trust this guy Relly, ASAP Relly, with anything in a matter of importance? Of course you would, not for anything. So you can't do it in a matter of importance in his life, is what I said to them. And I think that resonates because it's a very grave consequence here, and I think the jury sort of understands the magnitude of the moment.
So, Joe, let's talk about something that, at least from what we were told by people in the courtroom, that did resonate with the jury, and that was Rihanna being in court several days during the trial, sitting there right behind Rocky, and certainly during closing was there with the kids as well. And we heard the prosecutors in their closing really implore the jury to ignore the fact that Rihanna was there. Basically, it sounded like the prosecutor was saying, don't fall for this family picture that they're trying to paint here. Just deal with the facts of the case.
But it was a family picture, right?
Well, it's a family. It's not a family picture that they're trying to paint. It's a family. She's been there almost every day. She obviously loves him. They are a great couple. I've got, obviously I've known Rock for a long time. I've known Reef for a long time. And seeing them together in a time like this, in a time of need, is something very special. To see them she's really there supporting him, like in full force. And, they're a family. So why would that be odd or unique? And to me, when he commented on that in his closing, it was just another sign of weakness. To me, it was a sign that this is what they're worried about. Like, instead of the evidence, they're focused on, is Rihanna going to sway the jury? I never mentioned Rihanna in this trial. Rihanna was not part of our defense. We have factual defenses, and they seem to be obsessed with Rihanna and her being there. So I don't think this jury is going to be swayed by Rihanna.
It definitely helps, though, Joe, right? You can admit it. It doesn't hurt.
Who knows? I don't think it hurts because.
Okay, hold on. You said who knows? I know. The answer is yes.
Okay.
I know.
I don't. Yeah, look, these are people. We don't know what jurors think. We have people from all different walks of life on that jury. So who knows what it means? If anything, I think at the end of the day, jurors are going to look at the facts of the case.
Well, I got to say, the cases you've handled, and you've handled so many, some of them, you win some and you lose some within the same case, and it could still be viewed as a victory. With Rocky, everything's on the table, it seems. Either it's going to be all or nothing. Either he gets convicted and it's going to be super serious, or this guy gets exonerated. How long do you think it's going to take?
Look, I told this jury, without being disrespectful to their process, that it wouldn't be surprising if this were a 5-minute verdict. Reasonable doubt is what you need. You just need one. There's about 100 in this case. Again, you don't know what the jury's thinking. So when you say how long you think it's going to take, that is a question that basically asks me to read tea leaves, Harvey, and it's impossible to do it. Who knows what a jury's thinking? Who knows how long they're going to be? Hopefully not long. Hopefully tomorrow we'll get a verdict. It should be a quick verdict, but who knows? And who knows which way it's going to go? You just can't take anything for granted with a jury.
And by the way, Joe, I totally knew the answer to that, and I knew that you couldn't possibly tell. And I've covered a million cases.
No kidding,
it was just my obligation to ask a dumb question, so I decided to.
It was a good dumb question, though. A lot of your viewers may not know the answer to that and think there's some magic formula that what you're going to get. So it's not a dumb question to a lot of people. I get that question a lot. How long will it take? So he's, he's the face of Gucci. So I had a call with Gucci yesterday, and they're like, well, when will the verdict be? I'm like, what? When will the verdict be, guys? Let me go ask the 12 jurors. I'll let you know.
That's really interesting.
Gucci is
that's really interesting.
Which makes it
he's
seem
got a
like
cologne coming out. He's got a cologne coming out called Gucci Guilty. I'm like, are you guys kidding me? So, I swear to God, it's called Gucci Guilty. And I'm like,
what? No way.
You hold the campaign on this one for another week? And we got to get it out for Valentine's Day. I'm like, I don't care. Like, you know, Gucci guilty. I said, could you change the Gucci not guilty? And then so
I am
it's unbelievable.
stunned.
Are you
Seriously?
serious?
They were going to
swear to
have
God.
a Gucci guilty campaign?
And he's the guy.
Oh my
Oh
God.
my gosh. Wow.
It's unreal. This was planned
Boy,
over a year.
lawyers' work is never done. It's not just in
That's
court, huh?
unbelievable.
Got to get on with Gucci. You're
I've been going crazy with Gucci for the last year, saying hold that stupid campaign or change the name to Gucci not guilty. You know, so.
Oh my
Oh, my
God. Okay, Joe. We are going to wait as you are, and we will be all over this when the jury reaches a verdict.
Yeah, on the other side of the verdict.
Thank you so much,
guys,
Joe.
Thanks for your time, guys.
Really appreciate it. We're going to take a break.
All right. When we come back, Jay-Z celebrating a big legal victory. The rape accuser, the anonymous woman, has now dropped that lawsuit, but Jay-Z's not done fighting. He's going after her attorney for blackmail. And you're going to hear some very harsh words he had for Tony Busby when we come back.
TMZ's got every freaking thing. Big celebs, big stories, big events.
Actually, Pitt got in another accident.
At what point does Angelina go, I'm not going to give you your inheritance this week?
Siobhan, how many accidents have you had?
It's TMZ.
Well, Jay-Z and Beyonce were out in Beverly Hills this weekend. All smiles.
Good reason.
With very good reason, because they got a big legal victory on Friday.
Can I quote Trump on this one? Huge.
It was huge.
Huge.
Absolutely huge. It really is, because there was a woman who had come forward claiming that she had been raped by Jay-Z and Diddy back in 2000 after the at a VMA after party.
And none of it made any sense.
Didn't make
because
sense.
The
Huge
people who were
holes.
supposedly there were out of the state. The place they were at wasn't right.
Wasn't the right
There
place.
were a lot of holes in there.
And
Swiss cheese.
she finally filed to dismiss that lawsuit. So she dropped it voluntarily.
With prejudice.
Cannot be refiled. So this was not a case of a settlement, to be clear. She
walked away, got no money.
Got nothing.
Over.
And Jay-Z celebrated that, the fact that...
We should say, and it was filed by the lawyer who has filed a slew of lawsuits against Diddy.
Tony Busby.
Tony Busby.
Right. And Tony Busby, spoke to us for one of our Diddy docs and was pretty open about this strategy he has of sending these demand letters.
He said this is the game. That you basically send somebody a letter saying, pay up or I'll sue. And if they don't pay up, they'll sue.
Well,
and the point is that, especially for a famous person, it's career ending.
Right. And Jay-Z calls it extortion. And in fact, he is suing Tony Busby over that. So even as the one accuser was dropping her lawsuit, Jay-Z was in court trying to make sure that his extortion lawsuit against Busby goes forward. And he mentioned something we had not heard before. He said that there was a second demand letter sent by Tony Busby to him last fall that mentioned a male accuser who, according to the story, as Jay-Z read it in a letter, claimed that he was underage at the time and that Jay-Z was involved in a sexual assault against him in Beverly Hills. Jay-Z flatly denies all that, but says, this is this guy Busby extorting me. He's sending me a letter that, in Jay-Z's eyes, was very clear he wanted a large sum of money.
Pay up or else I'm going to blow the whistle on you.
Yeah, and it's clear that Jay-Z's not letting this go. If you read his declaration in that case where he is suing Tony Busby, what he's saying is, I viewed these letters as an existential threat to my reputation, everything I've worked my whole life to build, and he wasn't going to take it lying down. So even though this lawsuit's been dismissed with prejudice, the one against him, it seems like Jay-Z's going forward and will continue to pursue Busby, maybe to sort of send a message that you can't do this to a certain type of celebrity, not him.
Well, Jay-Z was calling Busby a 1-800 lawyer.
Called him a 1-800 lawyer and says the system needs to change. You can't have guys like this blowing up the lives of innocent people with allegations that he should be vetting and understand are not true. This is what Jay-Z had to say about this case against Busby. He said, I felt that Mr. Busby was placing a gun to my head, that I either bow to his demands or endure personal and financial ruin. As for the lawsuit filed on behalf of the female accuser, Jay-Z says Mr. Busby purposely filed this on the eve of my daughter's premiere to put me in the position of having to choose between supporting my daughter or hiding to avoid the negative press. He's referring to Blue Ivy being in Mufasa.
Right.
And he did go to the premiere and stood there and took photos. Didn't say anything to the media, but he posed for those photos. And he just said that this is what's wrong with the system. He says this has to change.
And look, lawyers talk about this all the time, that there is a group of lawyers who will do this with celebrities, and they've made a big career out of it where, and look, sometimes these cases are legit. But then the question is, how far does the net go, right?
Well, I don't think you want to constrict the net too much that they have to sort of prove their case before they file it. You want to encourage people to file for the redress of their grievances, but you don't want lawyers to look the other way or put their head in the sand about contrary facts that might undermine their case just to score a quick settlement. So there is a balancing act there. I know Jay-Z wants to send a message, but to speak for lawyers, you do want to be able to send demands before you file lawsuits.
Hey, this is Gentry from Georgia, and Beyonce and Jay-Z are not in this type of controversy, so I'm not surprised that Jay-Z is going to go for Busby full-fledged, especially when he thinks it's personal and that he did it before Blue Ivy's premiere. I think it's going to go down, and Jay-Z's not playing any games with him at all.
I got to tell you, when you look at Alex Spiro,
Jay-Z's attorney,
who clearly won this case, and remember what he did for Alec Baldwin in Rust, where the whole thing blew up. I mean, he's on a roll.
Yeah.
He is on a roll. Taking a break.
All right, when we come back, we have not had a chance to talk about this. I cannot wait to hear what you have to say about Kid Rock. Was on Bill Maher and had a very interesting review of the Super Bowl halftime performance. You know that Kid Rock, a big-time Trump supporter. A lot of people have referred to Kendrick Lamar's halftime performance as DEI. Gone crazy. Well, wait to hear what Kid Rock has to say about this. If you're a Kendrick fan, just watch. Welcome back to TMZ Live. Bill Maher is part of his ongoing efforts to hear all sides, I think. Sat down with Kid Rock, who initially you would think, all right, Kid Rock has made it very clear what his political leanings are. Is very clear that if Trump supports it, if Trump says something, Kid Rock is on board with pretty much everything that I've seen up to this point.
And he seemed hyper aggressive because, you think about him shooting the Bud Light can.
Yes. And in some ways, launching the Bud Light boycott.
That's right. When I watched Bill Maher and I heard Kid Rock was on, I thought, oh my God. And it was different than I thought.
Interesting.
It was really different.
I don't know if I'd say it was different than I thought, but let's say, look, the big thing was, and I think this is where a lot of people are split on this, what Kid Rock had to say about Kendrick Lamar's halftime performance and the reactions to it. And certainly we've all seen the memes for more than a week now where this is what Black people thought when they saw it, and this is what white people thought, or more specifically, what MAGA supporters thought when they saw the halftime performance. Kid Rock, clearly MAGA, so you would think you know what his reaction is going to be. This is what he told Bill.
To put it nicely, it wasn't my cup of tea, but I got to respect it. I'm like, this kid pretty much came out figuratively with both middle fingers in the air, doing what he does for the people who love what he does, unapologetically. And I don't think he gives a frog's fat ass what anyone thinks about it.
Like you.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, so I go, it's pretty much how I built my whole career. I got to respect it. This is the epitome of DEI blowing up. Because, the NFL was all this DEI and racism, all this stuff. They got Jay-Z in their book and this. And like Kendrick Lamar goes out there and basically turns DEI into an IED. It's like, it's all Black people or all people of color speaking to his crowd in the hood, Black people. It was like the most non-exclusive or the most exclusive thing ever. And I'm like, yeah, that's awesome.
I think he meant exclusionary.
Yes, that he viewed it as exclusionary because it wasn't for a white audience. There weren't white people on stage. And so it's not inclusionary.
Yeah, so Harvey, you seem like you took it as that he enjoyed the performance after watching.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. What I said, what he said was, not my cup of tea, and I'm putting that nicely, but I respect the guy because he doesn't care what other people think. If people had a problem with it, he gives them the middle finger, and that's exactly the way Kid Rock thinks. And he said, I respect that, which I thought was really interesting.
But he also said that if it wasn't for Kaepernick taking a knee, that Kendrick would have never performed at the Super Bowl halftime show, which is kind of a crazy take. I mean, Kendrick, obviously super accomplished in music, but is having one of the biggest years for any artist in music, the biggest song of the year. I don't think that has anything to do with Kaepernick taking a knee.
Right. He basically diminished Kendrick's selection and performance as being just the NFL doing a make good to black people.
Let me ask you.
And that's the part and I know he said he respects Kendrick for doing the show the way he did, and I believe him when he says that. And that's a little different than I expected. But the tone of everything else he said was exactly what you would expect from Kid Rock, right? I mean, he said, I didn't like it, and...
Well, he didn't say, he just said, not my cup of tea.
And he clearly wasn't thrilled with the fact that it was, in his eyes, exclusionary to all people who weren't people of color.
I don't think, did you feel, I didn't feel it was a racial kind of thing in the sense of him saying, oh, I'm pissed off because there were only black people.
No, not even racial. It was a policy dig.
He's saying everything turned on its head.
It was a policy dig, right? Because Trump has been on this whole thing about no DEI. He outlawed DEI, right, with one of his first executive orders. And this is Kid Rock saying, see, President Trump was right. DEI is bad. Look what happened when the NFL made a DEI hire for the Super Bowl halftime
Well, and
show.
I think he's also pointing out, which a lot of people that have his mindset think, that like once Rock Nation took over the Super Bowl in 2019, there's been no white acts. It's been, pretty much all black artists that have performed at the Super Bowl halftime show. So I think that's kind of what his point he's trying to make.
What I loved about him on Lamar was, it's like, and this is Bill's thing about that two sides just can't automatically hate each other. Mm-hmm. And it just felt like kind of look, you can disagree with part of it or whatever, but it was a reasonable conversation. And there was something that happened at the very end. As Bill said goodbye to him and he was walking over to his panel, he said, I'll see you at my house tonight.
Right.
Which I thought was interesting.
Good afternoon, Mike Gallagher here in Chicago. I don't think anyone had it on their 2025 scorecard that Kid Rock would be the voice of the people for the Republican parties. Absolutely perplexing. But to have the conversation of DEI, I would challenge Kid Rock's understanding and comprehension of the policies that DEI pushes out into this country. The reality is, I don't agree with Kid Rock, and to say that black people in the hood is who Kendrick was talking to shows his disconnection from the culture, from the politics, and from the reality of this country.
But I will say, did you see the polls afterwards and the memes about how it was received differently?
I did. And the reality is, I think no one has broken down Kid Rock's history, his political tone, nor his theatrics in music. I mean, let's be good. I watched his performance for the through the Republican campaign, and that crowd didn't seem into his messaging. I didn't see it.
Yeah, I think the part that's offensive to Kendrick fans is to think that he didn't want to reach white people. I think misses the point. He actually did want white people to pay attention. Now, you can't force someone to pay attention. Kid Rock clearly wasn't down for it.
Well, and look, the other thing is the song was so massive that you can't say it's confined to one group. We're going to take a break.
All right, when we come back, Cardi B finding a new love, an NFL superstar? Yes, one with a particular reputation who she was hanging out with on Valentine's Day. Offset's ears gotta be burning. Looks like Cardi B has a new recruit, an NFL star who she was hanging out with. I know, look, we don't make a big deal about Valentine's Day, but, some people do. And clearly, if Cardi were hanging out with a particular gentleman on Valentine's Day, you'd have to think they're not just friends, right?
Fair. Fair.
This was her weekend, or at least her Friday night, with Stephon Diggs, the NFL star receiver, played for a long time in Minnesota, Buffalo.
And notorious ladies' man.
Yes, and according to all of his teammates, one heck of a ladies' man.
And we got this video of them. This is at a hotel down in Miami. They're coming back from what we would assume is a night on the town for Valentine's Day. They didn't get back to the hotel until about 2 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. And as we said, you see him here, he's driving the car. She's getting out, she's wearing a very sexy dress. They had a night on the town. They went out and they had fun.
That's not a dress you wear to an amusement park.
And by the way, we know from the week before, they were at a strip club together in New York City. So
is that right? I didn't know that.
Yes, there's a timeline here. So they're spending time together.
Mm-hmm.
So the divorce with Offset is still on.
Yeah.
And
I know we always wait for when is it going to be called off.
And it could be. You never know.
And it could be. It has been in the past a couple times. But so far, they are going forward. And for her to be actually out dating someone, if that's what you want to call it.
Some people in the newsroom thought this was just to get Offset's attention. I don't think so.
No.
I do not think so.
Hi, my name is Trish, and I'm from Austin, Texas. I still believe that this is nothing but stunts and antics because Cardi B has proven herself to be a stunt queen. Until her and Offset get an official divorce, I think that this is all for PR. So let's just see if her and Offset get divorced and just how long she parades around town with Stefan.
So I have one question, unrelated. Are you getting sick of everybody moving to Austin?
To an extent, the traffic has picked up a lot. I am glad that the people moving here have allowed for the city to grow a lot. We have a lot more stores. Austin isn't the biggest luxury retail market, and because we have a lot of people here, now we're getting new restaurants, new high-end stores, which is really nice. But traffic is crazy, and it is driving down the wages.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. Okay.
Interesting those high-end stores all came in because it's all California people.
It is all California people.
Yeah. They're like, hey, where can I get a what's it called? Merkin bag.
Which are the most ridiculous.
I know that's a trigger for you.
Okay. Every weekend we put polls up on the website. We want to find out how you felt about things that we posted during the prior week. We did it this weekend. Here are the results.
All right. Wendy Williams should be in a guardianship or a free woman. What do the people say?
I'm still surprised so many people are saying guardianship, but they are. Next, A$AP Rocky's gun trial. Guilty as hell or not guilty all the way. Wow!
What?
Well, again, they weren't in the trial.
Right, unless you were watching it start to finish.
Okay, next.
If they divorce, whose side are you on? Kanye or Bianca?
Wow. And by the way, to be continued, but I think that's going to happen, by the way.
First to get engaged, Taylor and Travis or Belichick and Jordan?
What do you think? I think it's Belichick.
Yes, I'm going to go Belichick. Wow.
How about that?
Pretty close, though.
And last one. YMCA is about gay sex.
Oh, come on. Absolutely, young man. Don't even, if there's 1% ridiculous, I'm going to be very upset. What? 30.
That was a thing last week, by the way.
Yes, it was. We weren't laughing out of nowhere. When we come back, Patrick Schwarzenegger makes his White Lotus debut on the premiere last night, and you're going to see the moment he found out he got this part and who he was celebrating with. Proud moment for the Schwarzenegger family last night, I think. Patrick Schwarzenegger made his acting debut on White Lotus.
A revealing debut.
A very revealing debut, which makes what we're about to show you very interesting. If you haven't seen it, no spoilers here as far as the plot, but there is some nudity from Patrick. Full frontal nudity. All that being said, he did have a special moment that he shared this weekend when he found out that he was even getting this part. This was the moment, and he happened to be with his mom, Maria Shriver, when the news came in.
Yeah, we guessed that they were going to say that.
I'm just really not supposed to talk. Okay. It's fine if you guys. Okay. But I'll be going to Thailand.
You got it!
That's That's really sweet.
Yeah, it's very sweet. Now,
This is
do you think
very
he told
sweet.
her?
Did he tell Maria
And by
about
the way-
full frontal?
Yeah, Mom, I'm going, and it's great. I got the part. You should not watch. Do not watch.
It's not in your face. I will say you have to go back just for research purposes. I did this. I went back. You go frame by frame. Don't be afraid to lighten up your screen. That's how you can really see it. But yeah, I would say Maria might want to just kind of fast forward through that part because it's good, but
Maria's
you don't want to see that from your
Maria's
son.
very religious. Yeah. I'm not sure how that aligns.
How that cuts?
Well,
Yeah.
I can say when I watched, I
So
did
were
see
you.
God. So
Suddenly, Katie was religious.
Mara here from Bolingbrook, Illinois. I love to see family traditions being passed down, even if it's nudism. But I will say Arnold wore it better.
I didn't realize I wonder if that was intentional because it's exactly the same.
It's just what do you mean it's exactly the same? That's just
excuse me,
a man walking away from the camera.
I'm working here. What else you guys want to talk about?
Hi, my name is Mo Lachey from South Carolina. I'll be commenting on Wendy Williams reaching back out with her son. They need to put her back on her purple chair and give her mic back. That's what I want. I want her back on her purple chair.
Yeah.
Back on her throne.
Back on her throne.
Doing her show.
One more.
Shelley Winters, North Carolina, talking about Ryan Reynolds on SNL. Now, when Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively were on SNL, they were giving me Groundhog vibes. Like he was popping out to see, checking the weather on his career. Now, while that bit was cute, it's not cute enough to make people forget the accusations that are flying all about. Now, if I were Ryan and Blake, I'd go into hibernation for a while because I don't see it easing up for them anytime soon.
That's really interesting you're saying that. I get it with her, but you're saying that applies to him too?
Yes, he's getting a lot of heat because basically saying he was the main director of all of this, not director in terms of the film, but orchestrating all that has happened after. And they're playing her as not domestic violence victim, but that she's controlled in that relationship. So he's getting a lot of heat.
And Taylor's clean on this the way you see it.
I think Taylor's as far away from it as possible.
Yeah, believe me.
That's what she is doing.
That's what she is doing, for
Yes.
sure. Okay, we're taking a break.
All right, when we come back, Kobe Bryant's little girl, Natalia, all grown up. We know that she's off to college, and apparently she's got herself a Valentine. You'll see him when we come back. This might have been the most interesting Valentine's couple that we saw, if you judge by the traffic on the website. A lot of people interested in Natalia Bryant, Kobe and Vanessa's daughter, who is now off to college. She was out in Beverly Hills Friday night with what seems to be a beau.
Seems to be.
Yeah.
That touch.
Yes, indeed. And the smiles. Look at him, so happy, you little young
That's really
kids.
sweet. She's at SC, I believe.
Yes. Yeah, she is. So
it's really, I don't know.
It's got to be quite a moment for her, and even
Vanessa.
for Vanessa to see Natalia in this light. She's all grown up. Well,
I know.
Not all grown up, but
this is the first time we've seen her in any kind of a romantic situation, and it's really sweet. You can just see how happy she is.
Yeah,
it's just really nice.
They got a lot of interest on the website. So
Good way of ending
I think
today.
people always rooting for Kobe and Vanessa's kids.
Yep. Okay, we will see you tomorrow.